You've slashed your exposure by 27%. The question that goes through the market's mind is, have you got much more work to do? Are you happy? Are you right-sized at the right level?
Look, I think on CRE generally, this is kind of the most rate-sensitive and the most leverage-dependent asset class out there. And so when you see what's happening with rates and you see that kind of banks are slowly but surely and other providers of capital are slowly but surely coming back into the market, you have to conclude that the bottom is behind us. I usually think you find the bottom when you can't find anyone to say anything good about an asset class, and I think that was probably Q4 in CRE land. And it's important to disaggregate CRE. You know, there's multifamily, there's industrial, there's logistics, there's data centers around AI. All of those are doing quite well. We're really talking about Class B and Class C office. We just moved into a new Class A office over in Hudson Yards. You know, the lease up it's apparently turned into a food fight in our building. And so I don't think anyone's particularly worried about new Class A. It's really B and C.
Do you think there'll be other shoes that drop in Class B and Class C that could be, I suppose, market disruptive? We're trying to look for those disruptors, aren't we?
Look, we are. I think it's a bit of a bank-by-bank analysis. I think you just have to understand for each bank what their exposure is to CRE and what part of CRE there is in there. I think when you try to make an assessment of a bank based on the total amount of CRE exposure, have you either risk overstating or understating the risk depending on what sector they're invested in, right?
Then if I said to you, where are you most uncomfortable with your CRE exposure before we move on, where is that?
We're comfortable with our CRE exposure.
You're comfortable with that, and you don't agree with Carson Block? We're in the foothills of 2007. He's just selling something. He's selling another dream or a nightmare, is he?
Carson Block's in the business of saying things like that.